guys, I hope you're well. So in today's video I am starting a new video about interrailing because I did it in 2019 and obviously since then we haven't really been able to travel properly, but here's hoping, fingers crossed, that 2022 is the year that we can start traveling again properly. In this video I wanted to give you 10 things that you need to know before you go. Whether you know a little bit about interrailing already or you're a complete beginner, this video is for you because I'm going to cover some of the basics as well as some things that I wish I knew before I went. So let's get straight into it. Okay, so the first thing that you need to know is what is interrailing. Some of you may already know, but this video is starting with the basics. So interrailing is basically one train pass that lets you travel across multiple destinations across Europe. I believe that there is over 40,000 destinations in 33 countries. The website for Interrail is going to be your baby throughout this whole process. That's where you'll get all your information, set everything up, and also see what destinations and what routes you can take. So the second thing that you need to know is what type of pass to get. So there are two types of passes, and then there are two ways that you can use those passes. So the first pass is your Interrail Global Pass, which means that you can visit several different countries. You have no set itinerary, and with that option you will then select how many days that you want to class as travel days, but I'll get onto that in a second. The second pass is your Interrail One Country Pass, which means that you can travel across that same country accessing its trains and attractions. So, you know, for example, Italy, you've got so many different places to travel to just in that one country, so that might be something that you want to do rather than going from multiple different countries. So with those two passes in mind, you then have two main ticket types. So you have your continuous pass, which allows you to travel every single day within that time period that you've chosen. So obviously these are all different types of prices and they'll all be on the website. So that means you can literally just travel whenever you want with that pass. Or you can choose the flexible pass, which means that you have a set amount of days that you can travel for in a set amount of time, if that makes sense. So for example, you might choose 7 travel days in 1 month, so it just means that you can travel to one destination on one day. You can use that day as your travel day, and you can do that 7 times. So if you work out your route quite cleverly, you can go to lots of different places. I would say it all depends on your budget, how flexible you want to be, how long you want to travel for, and I definitely suggest using the website to kind of get an idea of the places that you want to go to kind of give you an idea of what pass suits you. So the third thing, which is more of a tip, is choose who you're going with wisely. I mean, a lot of people do go interrailing alone, so that's fine. You don't need to worry about this step. But if you're going with a friend or a family member, then make sure that you choose who you're going with wisely. I went with my sister, and so obviously we know each other very, very well. We had planned ours quite well because we only went interrailing for a short amount of time, so we couldn't be as flexible as you would be if you were going for a longer time. It does come with lots of decisions and going with the flow, so you need to just make sure that who you're going with, you're on the same wavelength, you've got the same idea of budget, you've got the same idea of things that you want to do and places you want to see. So just make sure that before you commit to anything, you're going with somebody that you know you'll have a good time with. So number 4 is probably a new one to all these interrailing videos, which is COVID. Obviously you will know about COVID-19. We've all known about COVID-19 for a long time now, but this is something that you really need to consider before doing anything with interrailing. The Interrail website does have regular updates on COVID, so definitely start there, but I'd also recommend going onto the actual countries regulations, the EU website, which I have linked below, to kind of see what changes are happening. Obviously if you're going to be flexible and going with the flow and you don't really mind where you end up, then COVID may not be as big of an issue for you if you were really set on, I want to go here and I want to go here. So I would just say be a little bit more flexible, maybe have some backup countries or options just in case as it gets closer to the time you can't go to that country. So most countries now need a negative PCR or lateral flow and proof of vaccination. So these are all just things to consider before going and making sure that you're as set up as possible. So with COVID in mind, you'll also just need to consider your insurance a little bit more in detail, making sure that you're covered for different cancellations and changes. Check out the Interrailing website for things like your refund, your exchange policies. They do have different things. In summary, you can get a refund or exchange if you haven't yet used your pass or it's not activated, but definitely just head over to the website to read those details. And just a little bonus tip before we go on to number 5 is to not only consider COVID, but also consider the country in general, when you're going, what days you're going, and are these places open. Obviously with COVID, you've got to consider, are the restaurants open, are the attractions we want to go to open. But also when I went, which was 2019 before COVID happened, we went to Switzerland and arrived there on a Sunday thinking, oh, we're next door to an Aldi, we can go shopping, but Aldi was closed on Sundays. So that's just a little top tip to kind of consider, especially if you're restricted to time, and things like that can set you back a little bit. So obviously some of you might want to be really flexible with just kind of going with the flow and seeing where you end up, but it is still good to have an idea of where you want to go, obviously as I mentioned before, to be able to purchase the correct pass, but also to consider booking accommodation. I would definitely recommend that this is something that is really useful when you're there, because even though you think right now, oh yeah, like sleeping in a train station that night might be fine to save some money, I wouldn't say that that's the best decision to make, because honestly, little things like having a bed at night and somewhere to rest really does make a difference to your happiness. So sometimes that little bit extra cost is worth it for the overall enjoyment of the trip. Looking at Airbnbs, hostels and hotels, and making sure that they're in a good location, not too far away from the city centre or where you want to be. Making sure they're safe, so read the reviews. I have made that mistake before. If you've seen my Camp America travel stories, you know I've done that wrong. And also making sure that they've got good cancellation policies. Obviously you can get ahead and start booking them, but making sure that you can cancel without being charged pretty close to the date that you're going. Number 6 is seat reservations, which is only something to consider really if you're wanting to go on high-speed trains or night trains. So this is something if you really want to travel around quick and you know your route, you may need to book seat reservations on some trains, which may incur a cost. You may not need to book a reservation at all, but it may just be a case of taking the longer, more scenic route to get to your destination. So it just depends on your time restrictions and things like that. Another little bonus tip for trains is to sit in the middle of the train if possible. When me and my sister were traveling, we got on and we sat straight next to the door because we just thought this is easy. However, somebody quickly told us, I'd recommend you sit in the middle of the train because there are thieves that will literally hop onto the train, grab the nearest bag that's next to them, which will be yours because you're set next to the door, hop off before the doors then close, and the doors are closed, you've gone, and so have your bags. So just a little bonus tip is sit in the middle of the train if possible. And another little safety tip is to look after your pass, because I do believe it can be a little bit difficult to get replacement if you lose it, but they do have mobile tickets now, which is much more handy than when I went a few years ago, which was just the paper pass, because if you lose that then you're a little bit screwed. But losing your mobile phone isn't as easy to do. But also on the Interrail website there is pass protection, so if you're somebody that does tend to lose things or misplace things, this might be something to consider. Number 8 is to pack wisely and not too much. So I will do a little video about what to pack and how to pack. Obviously you don't want a big bag because you are hopping on and off trains and traveling here, there and everywhere, so you don't want to be lugging around a massive suitcase. So pack light, pack wisely, and I would say either obviously your classic backpack or a suitcase with easy to wheel wheels that's probably about hand luggage size. To do a walking tour ASAP when you get there, you might be thinking, that's not for me, but honestly, this is what me and my sister did every single city that we arrived in. We got there and we found the next walking tour that was available, and each of those walking tours then gives you a glimpse of the city. It gives you your bearings. You can ask them tips and recommendations of places to go, places to eat, and things to do. It also shows you things that you would probably just walk past. You'd probably just think it's a building, but really that's some historic building that you would never have even known about until you walk past it and they told you about it. So definitely do a walking tour. Obviously, give it a go. If you don't like it, then fine. But also, you don't even have to pay that much for them because they just ask for tips. So you just pay what you think they deserve. And number 10 is to budget before you go. Obviously, as I've mentioned before, you might be wanting to be really flexible, but budgeting is something that you can't be flexible with. Unless you're made of money and you can just go around and spend what you like, then you will need to budget before you go. So just make sure that you have a set amount and kind of think, this is how much I'm spending in each country. Make sure that you've got some emergency money set aside that you don't touch, and that's only there in case of emergencies that you need to use. I can also do another video about how to budget, but some little tips is things like saving money by doing packed lunches, not eating out all the time, perhaps making sure that your hostel has breakfast included and stocking up on food like that. Basically, you can save a lot of money through food. So in summary, that is 10 things that you need to know before you go interrailing. I hope this video has given you a little insight into what interrailing entails, and I hope that it can kind of give you a head start into getting your interrailing plans going for 2022 or whatever year you're thinking about doing it. So yes, I hope you enjoyed. If you did enjoy this video, then make sure to give it a thumbs up and please subscribe because there's many more videos to come and I really do appreciate it. So thank you so much for watching and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.